Hello, my name is Michelle, and you're listening to Profit is a Choice. With us today is Eileen Hahn. She is a principal in the San Diego-based management consulting firm, Organization Effectiveness Consultants. She partners with leaders of organizations to establish new levels of performance, financial results, teamwork, and employee work passion. Eileen is a delightful and engaging professional speaker, as you're going to hear, and she's also a university instructor. She combines practical knowledge, tools, and techniques with warmth and real-world examples and experiences. Eileen and I met at LuAnn Live, where we were both co-authors in the book, A Well-Designed Business, Power Talk Friday Experts, and we were speakers at the event. Eileen exudes joy in life, and I picked up on it immediately the night before the event when we were having dinner together. She is like a magnet for all things positive, and I know that even though you will not be able to see her in this episode, you're going to hear her passion and excitement as we discuss how to hire and maintain employees and teams that are exceptional. If you have ever hired or you're thinking of it, I know this is a scary topic, right? That hiring that first time, am I getting the right person? I want to tell you this is the podcast for you. Listen in, lots of great information. Hiring the wrong person for the wrong job can really cost your company. So consider good hiring as increasing your profitability, because it does. Every day, empowered entrepreneurs are taking ownership of their company financial health and enjoying the rewards of reduced stress and more creativity. With my background as a financial software developer, owner of multiple businesses in the interior design industry, educator, and speaker, I coach women in the interior design industry to increase their profits, regain ownership of their bottom line, and to have fun again in their business. Welcome to Profit is a Choice. Hey, Eileen, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Michelle. I am so happy to be here with you. I really enjoyed our time together at the LuAnn Live event in March, and I was so impressed with you and your segment on profit. And so it's just so great. I'm honored to be here and talk with you about that. And just as an interesting thing, last night I went back and reread your chapter in the Well-Designed Business book. And as I went through it, I looked at all the different individual places where you had plan for profit, and you have like 1, 2, 3, like make profit a choice, and determine what salary you want, how much profit you need to make, what's your pricing,
right?
Looking at your income tax, and I looked at that as like a checklist, and I
Exactly.
thought, what an awesome thing for your listeners to actually go to this chapter and go through that as a checklist to say, how am I doing in terms of my profitability? So thank you for that. It was so fun to do that last night and really make me feel good about my business because I've done the things that you've outlined there. And so it's exciting, and also kind of prompted me to think of some new things too. It's like, ooh, that little reminder in there about really saving for some big items you're going to need in the future for your business.
Right. I appreciate that. Thank you. And it's interesting. I mean, that chapter is pretty much my story, right? So I am writing it from here's where I started. We know what we know when we start. So here's what I know. Okay, check. Oh, I didn't know the next piece. Okay, I know what I know. Check. And that's exactly the intent. So I'm glad that you got the intent from that chapter. I think it has been so interesting. And of course, I've read your chapter 7, starting on page 115 with the introduction by LuAnn, 117 for content. For anybody that's listening, we are talking about the book, A Well-Designed Business, The Power Talk Friday Experts by LuAnn. It's her second book out. It is entitled or authored by LuAnn and friends. And there are 12 of us who together each wrote a chapter for the area that we are expert in. And I think it's been very interesting for me. I was just sharing with you prior to us going live. I've been working with a lot of the different experts in the book, like on my own business, right? Because I got financials wrapped up. I know that. That's not my issue. But it doesn't mean that I'm not, perfect. I'm not perfect at email marketing, or I'm not perfect over here. And so I've been reaching out to some of the different authors and experts myself saying, hey, I'd like to engage your services, or I'd like to see what you have available. Or even just thank you so much for writing that chapter. It's made me stop and think. And I think that's what's so great about the book. It literally could be almost like a primer and a checklist for every part of your business, especially when you're scaling and growing. Don't you think?
Oh, definitely. It's really excellent. I mean, great information, short, right to the point. So it is. It's a great check, whether you've been in business for many years and you want to kind of go back and see, am I doing it right? Am I missing anything? Or you're new to business. It really tells you how to set things up right and well. Do it right the first time.
Do it right the first time. I was just on a call earlier and somebody was saying, well, maybe I should wait and maybe I should do that. And another designer chimed in quickly and said, do it right from the beginning. Now, it doesn't mean we can't correct it, but I am telling you, we will save ourselves time, effort, energy, and money by doing it right the first time. And what you and I are going to talk about today is hiring and employees and doing that right the first time. And that's an area that many of us have not gotten right the first time. I mean, there's some deep battle scars from some business owners in the hiring and firing process. There really are. And I know you've seen it, which is part of your business. But what I'd love for you to do, Eileen, is kick us off by telling us a little bit about your business, what you currently do. Sure.
So I've worked for the past 25 years as a management consultant, helping companies really achieve higher levels of kind of sales, profit, customer service, employee engagement. And I've worked across industries. And really, I'm partnering with organizations, and I do a number of different things. One of the things I do is help them with strategic planning. Where do they want their business to go? What are their goals? How are they going to get there, right? And that's some of what your financing things connect into. Also, succession planning. How do we move leaders up? If we want to grow, we need someone to move into a leadership role, right? So how do we prepare leaders so they can grow into those roles so we can grow our business? Also, working in really how to hire and retain exceptional people, and how to develop leaders that have the skills to do that. So those are kind of like the big picture of my business. I actually started my business about 20 years ago, 1997. And I had worked previously for 2 different consulting companies. So I had kind of a good role model of what to look for and how to approach consulting. And I just had my second child, my daughter, Gayla, who I love so much. I was 22. And I said, I want more flexibility in my work because the hours are a lot when you work for another company. And so I decided to go on my own as a consultant. And so that's kind of the start of this business that's now been thriving for 20 years. And I've very much enjoyed. So that's kind of like my background of my history.
Yeah, I remember we had dinner at the LuAnn Live, and I really enjoyed hearing that. And I loved how you said to me then, and I think this kind of sets the stage for a portion of our discussion today, that when you worked for those consultancy firms, like you just mentioned, you worked under some really great people who raised you up as a leader, showed they weren't fearful of you coming into your own. And so they nurtured that in you. And then you then turned around and were able to nurture that in others. And I love that because that's not what we see a lot, without intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be intentional to support and nurture and raise up another person, either whether it's a child in your home or an employee under your care at the office.
Definitely.
We tend to see, I think the negative takes the spotlight so much more than the positivity and the encouragement does. But that's what makes a strong workplace. So we're going to talk today about building teams and how we want to go about building them. I know that I get a lot of questions, and they usually come across as, I'm overwhelmed. Oh my gosh, there's too much going on. I need to hire. I need to hire now. And then they'll say, financially, can I hire? And I might look at their financials, and of course, I'm going to ask questions. Are they billable? Are they not billable? Because all of that's going to feed into it. But then I'm going to say to them, okay, so are you even ready to hire? Like, it's not enough to say I need to hire, and even I have the money to hire. But as employers, whether it's some subcontract or employee, we have to be ready in another way to bring them in, not just financially. Share with us a little bit about how we need to create readiness in our firm, in our company, before we bring somebody on. How do we start with that?
Sure. So it starts kind of mentally, right? It's kind of, what do you want in this new person that's going to join you? Do you want someone to work with you and to be a team in developing and growing your business? Or do you want someone to work for you? right? So it's a totally different mentality. And I always say it's much more fun to work together with someone to grow and build and create something, whether they're a full-time employee or they're a vendor that you're utilizing or a contractor. And so you want to kind of approach that relationship from that perspective. And so for any relationship to be happy and effective, you need to invest time. So you have to immediately be thinking about, I'm willing to take some extra time, outside of my day, outside of my normal work duties that I do, to invest in this person, to get to know this person, right? To help them develop and grow in their skills, because then we can work together as a team. So what happens sometimes with people that are busy in business is that their mind just goes to, I need someone to do these tasks, like just get somebody in the door that'll do these things for me so I can go out and do all these other things, right? They're not really thinking about getting to know and integrate this person, not really thinking about them as a team. And so they don't spend time with that employee. And so it's interesting, I just had a case this week where a company hired an exceptional person. So, that's one of the steps you're going to want to do, right? Really be careful about who you hire. And they hired someone that was just perfect for them. It was, they had the background of success. They had the personality profile that fits the role and the job. The person that was interviewed was really excited. It was a values match as well in terms of their purpose and their mission. It was perfect, right? Just from the start. But then I just talked to the person yesterday. They've been in the job now 2 weeks and they're kind of sad. They're kind of in that what I call the disillusioned learner phase, which is they started out the optimistic beginner, I'm excited. And now it's hard, it's challenging. And they need some encouragement from their leader. And the leader is like not giving them time. And so the leader's like, hey, I hired this great person. They're competent. They've done this before. I'm busy. I'm over here. And they literally said, I left you a memo with like what you need to do. Like not, and the woman said to me, they didn't even take the time to have a conversation. Right. And I said, have you sat down with your manager in the past 2 weeks? Oh, and she said, only to hear what I haven't done right. She goes, you know what I mean? Not to, and I said, so I ended up spending an hour or so on the phone with this woman saying, tell me how it's going. What's working for you? What's not working for you? What are your challenges? Tell me where you're feeling stuck. And just know you're new. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay. Right. You're not going to do everything perfect and right the first time. It's going to take you 30 days to really kind of come up to speed. And so we had this beautiful conversation. And at the end, she said, I just want to have this with my manager.
That's it. A couple of things, so many things to pull out in that. But one of the things I think about is before we hire, and I push my clients to do this, you need to have a very clear job description. And you mentioned those things earlier. You got to know why you're hiring, what you want them to do, the expectations, and then you've got to have educational tools and the time to onboard them properly. Right. And to your point, and I've even done it years ago, I did that. I was so busy. I hired somebody who had the skill set. I handed them everything and just said, go, because I didn't even have time to breathe. Things didn't work out great. Part of it was mine, part of it was theirs. But still, I could have affected that to be a much better situation for all of us if I had had more time. And, I still find myself, I am so busy that I've got so much crammed in my day, but it is hard for me. I manage a lot by email. Because everybody's busy, and some of the people I work with don't even work the same schedule I do. So it's not like I can pick up the phone and just call them all the time. But it is important to have those scheduled calls, either a scheduled email conversation, a scheduled phone call. If you work in the office, a scheduled sit down, and just know that these things are not happening. It's not a hand it to somebody one time and they're done. So let's go back and talk about, we'll maybe use this a little bit as a case study. Let's go back and talk about at the beginning, what are some things that, as the employer, we need to have in place to hire that exceptional person? So we've kind of mentioned a job description. We need to know our own mission and vision and values, our own why. Like, we have to have a clue what we're doing, where we're going, and how we're going to get there, right? Right. Let's assume that we all have that. I know that's a big assumption, and for anybody who doesn't, call me, I'll help you get it. But we know, right, that's kind of the starting point. And then they go out and start looking.
Right. Right. Let's stop there for just a moment. So the job description, many small business owners aren't writing job descriptions, honestly. Right. So I tell them, if you haven't done a job description, because it's like, what is that? That's some formal document, right? I'll say at least make a list, a specific list of the duties that you want the person to do. Right. But then also with those duties, what does exceptional look like with those duties? Right. And then what are the skills needed to do them well? So that's really the start, right? Make your list of what you want them to do. Make a list of what does exceptional look like doing those things. And then what are the skills a person needs? Once you have that, then you're going to create your selection or interview process to find out if the person have those skills. So skills is one component of the selection process, right? The second component is, do they fit in and work well with you and your team? And that's like you're saying, what's my business vision or my values or my culture? And so I need to make sure that during the interview process, I find out, what theirs is and share mine to see if it's a match. I, for example, am someone that loves and enjoys a very fast pace of work environment. I like to do a lot of things. I like to do it fast. I like to do it at an exceptionally high level. I'm always going for exceptional, right?
That's me. So, I'm a maximizer.
Right.
So, and everything is exceptional, over the top, high attention to detail, like detail. Right. I mean, look at my financial person. Details in every aspect matter to me. And for them to be dropped feels like I literally am, I just like,
not acceptable, right? It's not acceptable. I mean, you can't work with that. So you've got to find someone that will work with you in that zone. So if I have another person that is attracted to, likes and enjoys that kind of environment, we're going to work great. If I have someone that's like slow, steady, doesn't have a high attention to detail, like for you in your case, it's not going to work out well, right? So we need to look at that.
It's going to be stressful on both sides.
Right. It's not going to be pleasant. And I'm all about living and working in joy. Right.
Why would we not?
And you can be. Yeah. So then, and then the third aspect you're looking for is some kind of connection to what you do in your business. Like, why is this purposeful for you? Why is this part of your life mission or goal or whatever? Why does this feel good to you? What is it about it? And I love the design business because I love design. Like I that's not my superpower, but I love to hire designers and I love the work that they do and how it enhances and builds the beauty. And so when you talk to someone who's got that same passion, you hear it, you feel it, right? So whatever you do, if someone's working for a designer and they're not loving the whole design, creativity, make it beautiful, you know what I mean, enliven, then why be working with you, right? Because there's people that just get excited about that and enthralled by that, right? That's who you want to hire. So you're looking for that combination.
So what happens when you, because I've seen this quite often, right? You create this list, you know what exceptional looks like. And let's be honest, exceptional can be different for each person. That is a very subjective, if you will, descriptor, right? So we've defined, here's the items I want them to do. Here's what excellence looks like in my business. And then you go to hire for that. What if your budget is for all right? What if you want excellence because your budget says, I can just hire them to be all right?
Well, see, first of all, you can't ever hire to be all right because it just won't work, right? So I'd say two things. Number one, you can hire someone exceptional that's young and new and isn't at this higher level of competence yet and kind of develop them up if they've got some of the core natural abilities. So that's option one. Option two is save. Save your money and wait, because the difference in your business between hiring someone exceptional and hiring someone not, it's going to impact you financially. It's going to impact your time. It's going to impact your customers. It's going to impact your sales volume, the quality of your work. So it's worth it. I've learned that lesson over 25 years to pay more. I used to be like, I want to be fair market value. I'm like, no, I want exceptional and I pay above fair market value because I want exceptional. You know what? Exceptional people deserve it, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think this is interesting too, working and seeing this happen. Sometimes people want to pay the lowest. So they want exceptional and they're like, but I only have $10 an hour. And there are very few jobs that you can be exceptional in our industry for $10 an hour. I can't even think of one. But let's say that they came up with it. But what they don't understand is when they hire an okay person, because no exceptional person would work for them for that amount of money, they're literally paying them 4 to 5 times more to get the job done at okay than if they had just paid the exceptional person. They're probably also paying them, when you said it costs, to go back and forth multiple times, where an exceptional person would have gotten it right the first time, or maybe second, right, with the tweak.
Right.
You're not spending these hours on a back and forth. And so it is worth it to go ahead and hire the best that you can hire with excellence at any position and role.
Right. I agree.
It's kind of like the person, if we were to take it to a design analogy, it's like the person who really wants a really great family room, but their budget is for a really okay family room. I would rather them wait and get the better budget and buy the better thing than to get it, and in 3 years things are broken and falling apart and they got to start all over again.
I totally agree. And I think also with the design example, I was this way. I didn't know the costs of things, right? When I first started utilizing a designer and had to kind of, when I was remodeling my home. And I remember LuAnn, I was lucky enough to have LuAnn as my designer. How lucky is that, right? Comes into my home and she's talking to me about, this is going to cost X thousand, this X thousand. I was just like, whoa, really? How do you spend that much on one window or one, or one room?
Right.
And as she showed me what it looks like with that cost, and I'm like, yes, I see that now. I know what that looks like, and I want that, right? So you just need someone to educate you sometimes. And so you might be thinking 10, but you don't know. You haven't interviewed someone for 15 an hour. Why not do both, right? Interview the $10 an hour person, interview the $15 an hour person, interview the $20 an hour person. You may be surprised, but once you see it, like I had to see the designs, right? Options to go, yes, I'm willing to spend more, double, whatever for that product.
That's what I want.
Exactly.
So do you have a good definition, if we were to help our listeners actually define what's exceptional? Like, we throw it out. I know what my interpretation of it might be in any given job, but do you have a good way of explaining to them, here's how to actually define what exceptional means to you?
Sure. So I talked about exceptional kind of in 5 categories, like what an exceptional person looks like. First of all, in whatever aspect they do, they exceed your expectations. So if they send you over, so I just had a marketing person send me over, a marketing piece I'm using. First off, I look at it, it's like, wow, this is better than I thought it was going to be, right? The quality, the visual look, it exceeds your expectations. They got it to me faster than I thought it would take me to do it. So they exceed your expectations in terms of time, quality, production,
attention to detail,
all of that. So right there, it exceeds your expectations. So it can't just be they do a good job. They literally, and I have people that I've been working with for years on kind of creative work, and they continually exceed my expectations. I go, wow, that's an exceptional, right? Not like this is good, okay, right? Second thing is they come to work every day with a positive attitude. They love what they do. So they have that energy, right? Because they're doing what they're naturally good at. They enjoy it. So they're happy to come and do it. And so every time I talk to someone, again, that creative person I was working with, she's always happy, positive, upbeat, because she's doing what she loves. She's excited. I'm excited. We're working on this together, right? We're a team. She doesn't work for me, right? The third is they go above and beyond what's expected. And so, she sent me the one document, and then she's like, well, I sent you this other one because you kind of were wondering what it might look like if we didn't have this here, we did that there. And I was like, wow, really? So 2 great documents, exceeds it beyond your expectations. The third is that when you have many people like this, let's say you have multiple people on your team, when you bring in an exceptional person, they actually ignite cooperation in others. They're happy to help and assist others. They're happy to mentor other people. And the other people see how well they're doing, and they're like, I want to do work that good, right? And so and that exceptional person is willing to help them. Well, let me show you how I did this, how I created this, or my approach. So they'll help with that. And then the last area is that they really do raise the bar. They inspire everybody to add to a new level. I just had a really fun group. I had this board of directors team, and they just added a new director. And everyone said in the room, they said, this addition of this new member of the team has raised the bar. Like, we're all better because this person joined our team. He's so good, and he makes us want to be good, and we all show up with our game face on, fired up, right?
Isn't that awesome to have that kind of team, Eileen, to have the one that that you feel like everybody's striving to work together to make it excellent, to make it better. They talk about the mastermind being this third mind that comes together when at least two people, if not more, are together, and that it is better than what either mind could have been on its own. And that's really what excellence is it's taking, like if I've hired somebody to do something, it's usually for one of two reasons. I can't do it, or I don't have time to do it. Maybe I don't want to do it, but
right.
Really, if I can't do it, I don't want to do it, or I just need and I want to be surprised. I want to be wowed. Like I want, when somebody gives me something that I've paid for, I want to be wowed, and I want it to be more than I could have sat down and figured out on my own.
Right.
And so I love that explanation. And so as we were thinking through, here's the list of what I would want my new hire to do. Here's how we would define excellence. So then go through and define, if the task says this, let's say the task said, I want them to do room layout. What would exceptional look like if they created a floor plan or a room layout for you? What would be acceptable, and what would wow you? I think sometimes we don't even know what would be acceptable if we're honest. So then we can't even think about them wowing us or being exceptional. We are just looking for them to get the job done. And so then when they just barely get the job done or come in below, we're sad and we feel like they missed the mark. Exceptional people are going to miss the mark sometimes, right? I mean, because nobody's perfect. We're human, right?
Well, they need to know what it looks like. They need to know exceptional. So you can hire someone exceptional. And then, I had a group where they said, I thought we hired good people, but they're just not performing to where we want. And so I said, have you told them what exceptional looks like? Well, no, not really. So they went back and talked to these employees. And first they asked their employees, what do you think exceptional looks like? And then they had this conversation about what exceptional is in that particular context. And the employees' productivity all went up. And now he says, I do have exceptional people. But he waited for 6 months. He didn't tell them what exceptional looked like.
Yes.
And then train them. Maybe they need training. I mean, this is all part of the components of hiring and retaining exceptional people. You got to hire right. You got to tell them what exceptional looks like. You got to train them so they know it. So if I'm going to tell you exceptional is answering the phone with warmth and excitement and energy, I better show you what that looks like if that's really what I want.
Yeah, I agree with you. I always tell my clients, if you're going to hire, you have to be prepared. And then you have to educate them. You have to empower them, right? And you have to tell them what's expected. So here's what I expect. I'm going to help you get there by educating you, but then I'm going to empower you to do your job, because there's nothing worse than saying, I want you to do this. I'm going to show you how to do it, but I'm going to tie your hands behind your back. And so when we empower them, we have to know they're going to make mistakes along the way, just like we would make mistakes. The difference is going to be how they recover and how they handle from that mistake. But again, I go back to thinking, if we don't at least indicate, here's the minimum we want, here's what exceptional would be, now we kind of have this framework to interview within.
Right.
So then we can start looking at the $10, $15, $20, $30, between here's the minimum viable employee.
Yeah.
Right? This is the I'm breathing, coming in and taking up space employee. And here's the one that's going to wow me.
Right.
And then I think we have to think about, and I know I want to talk to you about this, when that wow happens, like you talked about it raising the entire team, how much further it moves everybody along, that employee or subcontractor, and the business that hired them, and the other, what's the word I'm looking for? Professionals, the other professionals that may be involved, either as subcontractor or employee. Like everybody's game goes up.
Yes.
I try to work with really exceptional people. I have a very high standard of excellence, and I know that I do. And I am upfront and clear about it. I don't apologize. I edited a magazine for 4 years every other month. Tell me if you don't think I'm going to notice a misspelling. If I'm not I'm going to notice a font shift. I'm going to notice a cut and paste that didn't get. Those things, they jump off the page to me. Right. So if I'm hiring someone, I want them to be able to see those things. I see color differences. Most designers do. I can see a difference if somebody shift something. I care about messaging. I'm not saying I get it right, but those things I care about. And I try to hire people that care about and think about those same things. I've not always been great with it, but I got a really great team right now. I've got people that are constantly saying to me, show me, teach me, empower me, help me. How can I do more? How can I assist you? How can I? That is amazing. I mean, even if I couldn't give them all the work, right? Maybe it's not even their skill set. The fact that they're offering, I'll take on more. You just show me what to do. Let me come beside you. That is excellence to me.
That is. That's
right?
Awesome. Yep.
And I'll take that and character over skill set any day, because I can train skill set, but you cannot always train that character and even that drive for excellence. I think if somebody has it, maybe it's gotten a little dulled and the new person comes in the team can be elevated. But if you have no drive towards excellence and your drive is towards getting by, that's motivation. And I find that very hard to motivate. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. That's the whole concept of, I do not work on hiring people that take a job as a means to an end. It's, to me, I'm doing that person a disservice because they could have a job they love and enjoy. I'm doing myself a disservice, right? In terms of having that person join my team. So to me, that's the question right there. Because when you're in a job that you're meant to do and you have the skills and the alignment, right? In terms of purpose and environment, then you're going to be exceptional. Everyone can be it if they just were in that right situation. And so I want to make sure that person that joins my team has what's needed to be exceptional. And then, like you said, we can build and grow their skills, but they have some of those core things, the core kind of natural skills in some areas, and love for the environment and the culture and that connection to your business and that passion.
So how do you help, let's say even in the interview process, pull out from the person that you're looking to hire or that you're interviewing? How do you pull out where they're excellent or where they're excited or where they're exceptional? Because I know, again, from my experience, I've seen a lot of people that almost maybe have been beat down. And years ago, that's not the way we were taught to go get a job. We were taught to get a job 30 years ago as a means to an end. Right.
It's an old culture.
But that was back in the day, 30, 40 years ago, where you thought that when you started with one company, you were going to retire with that company. And there's a shift. We've not seen it. It's not even expected these days. They don't even want you to do that. They want you moving around to get more experience. But that also can cause us to become jaded, that what does it matter if I'm exceptional because I'm just going to leave, or you're going to leave me. And there's this lack of commitment within the business industry, to be honest, I think. And so some of us have gotten over the years, especially those of us that probably are older, that have gone from that one way of thinking to another, that they're so used to, or the bills are so high, or the needs of their home weigh on them so much that they literally have not allowed themselves the freedom and the ability to consider, what if I had a job of joy? How do you help? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I know. It's particularly, and I agree, it's kind of like the baby boomer generation, of which I am and others. We took the jobs as a mean to an end. We took the job with a different orientation, right? Because that's just what you did. And the millennials and the other generations today predominantly are not doing that. They're saying, I want a job that I feel aligned with in terms of my values, in terms of my purpose.
That fulfills me.
That fulfills me. And I think that's beautiful and wonderful that the whole nation honestly can change and go in that direction, because it's possible. People just have to know it's possible. And what you're mentioning is, and this is kind of what prompted me to write this book called Your Wild and Precious Life, is that people that are in a job that they're not loving, right? It's that means to an end job. And they say, how do I get to the job that I love, that I can be exceptional in because I have energy, passion, and emotion for it? This book takes you through that process. And it's really kind of looking within and being open to that possibility and not being fearful to leave a job that you're not happy in. That's tough.
It is tough. It's tough on both sides, you know. As an employer, I want my employees, my subcontractors, I want them to love what they do. Like, I don't want to go hire somebody who hates their day to day.
Right.
Because that's gonna spill over into the workplace.
Right.
And as an employee, I wanted to love my job. I mean, I knew when it was time to leave my job, when it no longer brought me joy, and I would rather be anywhere other than there.
Right.
That was like, woo, okay, I know that. I mentioned to somebody the other day, they asked me when I knew it was time to shut down my drapery workroom and all of the other jobs I was doing. I said, when every time I was there, all I could think about was being where I am right now. Like every time I was there, all I could think of was, I wish I were coaching. I wish I was advising. I wish I was now podcasting or whatever. I wish I was doing that.
Right.
Good indicator that what brought me joy at one time and fulfilled me at one time, I've grown and I needed something different. And being able to say that was okay, not following the means to an end. Yep. And so, I think part of letting ourselves do that as business owners then allows us to allow our employees and subs to do that, and then to hire with that in mind. Most businesses aren't the same business 10 years down the road that they were when they started.
Right.
Because they chased or followed their feelings of joy and excitement and excellence and all of those things to move into different avenues and to let that business more, to kind of let it breathe. Right?
Yeah.
Let that business breathe.
Right.
And I think sometimes we hire, to your point earlier, exceptional people.
Yeah.
And then when they are not perfect or exceptional in the moment, we get angry. Why does that happen? I think probably misplaced expectations, maybe?
Perhaps.
Or not educating properly.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to expect that there's going to be, we know that people aren't going to be perfect.
Right.
If you expect that things aren't going to be perfect, then you're okay with it. Especially, you're doing exceptional work and then something happens that's not perfect. That's okay. Right. It's just kind of part of what goes on.
That's right.
And then you asked me, you said, what questions can I ask? Right.
Yes.
To find out if someone's exceptional. And I actually have a list of 10 questions that I'm going to make available to all of you. If you text joyful in all caps and you do 66866, you can get this free download of the 10 questions to ask to reveal an exceptional person. But let me give you an idea of just like one of them. We want to find out from them, like, what aspects of this job do you feel like you're naturally good at or that excite you? And if the person just like literally does not have any emotional reaction or response to it, it's a means to an end. Because when you ask that question to someone who's excited and passionate, they're going to talk about that and you're going to see it come through. And then you're going to ask some questions about the environment, right? In terms of like what environments they like to work in. And if they say slow, steady, or fast paced or whatever, then it's different from your environment. It's not going to be a match, right? And then you've asked them, what have they done that's really been exceptional, right? In terms of saved a company money, made a company money, created a new system or process, created something that really makes them stand out amongst their peers. They'll have answers to those questions. So to me, it's so easy to find out, right? When you're interviewing them, if they're exceptional, these questions will help. And you want to do some kind of additional testing. In other words, I always say, it can't just be interviews. Your selection process has to include, I'm a big proponent of pre-employment assessments, like, those like the predictive.
Let's talk about those in a minute. So what are some of the ones that you like?
Yeah, so my favorite is called predictive index. And basically what happens is, as an employer, you answer questions about the kind of person that you think would be effective in the job. And it gives you a profile of what that person looks like. And then every applicant that comes in takes the test and it gives a profile of who they are. And you're looking for a match. And one of my favorite areas on it is that detail orientation. It will tell you if you naturally have a high level of detail orientation, low, medium, the whole thing. If you're someone that likes to do the detail work, if you're someone that likes to delegate the detail work, if you're someone that follows up on details or forgets about the details, it's all revealed in the assessment. So right there, you can know naturally if they're going to be a natural fit from that assessment, which is great. To me, that's kind of like my precursor to even having an interview. Let's see if there's even a remote match. Because if I need someone that has high detail orientation, you don't, it's just not going to work, right? If I need someone that's really proactive or that's socially fluent and engaging, right, in a certain role, and that's not your natural who you are, you're more reserved, right, and introverted, you're not going to be happy being in a job where you have to be, right, socially fluid and really out there. You're not going to be happy in a job where you have to be detail oriented if you're not, right? So the pre-employment assessment, and again, predictive index is my favorite. I've used for 20 years. There's others out there. And is exceptional tool. So you want to have that. Then you also want to give them some kinds of samples in the selection process. In other words, if you're hiring someone to do some detail-oriented work, you could give them a document and say, I'd like you to read this. I'd like you to see if there's anything that you could improve, any way you can improve or enhance it. And I'm going to give you, an hour, sit over here and do that. Right? And so you'll see what that person comes up to. It's funny. My husband is exceptionally high in detail. Any document I give him ever, he finds something in it, whether it's grammar, punctuation, a different way to word it, use an active voice. I mean, it's his superpower, right? And so you'll see that, and you give it to someone. If it's their superpower, they're going to find things. They're going to see things, right? And so the same thing. If you're whatever aspect of your job you're hiring for, give them some kind of sample. Give them an assignment. Go. I'd like you to come and bring a bathroom. I mean, I had such joy when we remodeled our home and we had 4 bathrooms, and I said, bring me the tile for the 4 bathrooms. And I described the feel of each bathroom and who'd be using it, right? And just my, thoughts around it. And when they came in and they brought, 4 options for each of the 4 bathrooms, it was like joy. It was like, wow, right? So give them some samples, have them do some work for you, see what they're really about.
I think that's great, because you get to see a couple of things. You get to see their work product. So what is coming out of this? You get to see the way they think and the way they approach it. Did they approach with detail first? Did they approach high level, go down to detail? So you get to gather a lot of information. But I think one of the bigger points to make here is this isn't possible in a super fast, I'm going to talk to you one time, hire you.
Right. You don't want to hire from one date.
No. This needs to be a process, right? Mm-hmm. We want to go in and we want to meet for coffee first, in effect. And then because this is like a marriage. Hiring somebody is like a marriage. Firing them, letting them go is like a divorce. And so we want to have a slow build here. I've had a couple of different people on the podcast that have talked about their hiring processes. And I'll put some links in the show notes for that. But they literally talked about 3, 4, 5 touches with these people, either through an email, through a predictive index, through tests, through going out to lunch, going out to dinner, interviewing at multiple levels in the company with the people they're going to work with, and working their way up and around before they just turn around and hire. So it wasn't like, oh, I know this person, and so therefore I should just turn around and hire them. You know what? I see a lot of that. Oh, I'm looking for somebody. You're free. You have time. You're a breathing body. I'll hire you. And then the frustration at why it didn't work so well.
Right. The multiple touch points are critical, and also in multiple forums. So like you were saying, if this is someone that's going to be answering the phone for you or representing you verbally with anybody that you interact with, you want to have a phone interview with them. You want to see how they come across on the phone. What's their energy? What's the feel? Their professionalism? If this is someone that's going to be sending emails out on your behalf or in any way, you want to see what their email's like. So you're sending them emails. I love to ask people to send a cover letter with their resume. Why? It's a writing sample, right? They have all the time in the world to write the best possible cover letter writing sample, right? I can't tell you how many people over my 20 years have been literally turned down or knocked out of a process because their cover letter. It's not well written. It's got a typo on it, all different types of things. So you want to have multiple, like you said, nice to meet for coffee, interview in the office, have them do a work sample, multiple different components to your selection process.
Okay, so we've identified in our business what is exceptional. We have texted joyful to 66866, which will also be in the show notes, all caps, so that we know 10 questions to ask. We have gone through an interview process. We've done the predictive index. I'm a big proponent of Strengths Finder. I want to know what their strengths are and how they fit into the strengths of the rest of my team. And you can identify, when you're identifying excellence, what are the strengths that are needed for that job, which again could go back to communication or, managing people or whatever it is. So we've done that. Now we've chosen to hire with excellence. So we have created the budget and made it available. let's say that we have now brought them in, Eileen. So they've come in, we've cleared our schedule enough to onboard them properly. Not to throw them in a desk with a sticky note of list of things to do, but we literally have taken the time to make them feel cared for, a part of the team, to create an excellence of company that they're bringing their excellence to. I think that's important. We can't hire excellence and exceptional if we're not going to be excellent and exceptional. So we've got to bring them into that environment to foster theirs. Right? Okay. So let's say we've done that. Let's talk a little bit about longevity and how we can nurture that excellence and that exceptional person so that their skill set, whatever, their growth, their trajectory for their own career, what do we do so that they don't hop around every time? So that because that's some of the fear that we have in the interior design industry. It's that, oh my gosh, I'm going to bring in this really great person. I'm going to spend all this time, effort, and energy getting them up to speed. They're going to take all of my IP and all of my information. They're just going to walk away. And that it's a real challenge.
Sure.
So how do we, I mean, I'm not saying there won't be some level of movement that happens, shifts automatically, but how can we create an environment that makes them want to stay, to continue being part of the exceptional, and to also be personally that way as well?
Right. So the number one thing, people stay when they feel cared about, okay? And they feel like they're growing and developing. So those are two really key pieces. So if you're showing this person that you care about them and you're doing specific things to show you care, not just as an employee, but almost on a personal level, then they're more tied in and committed. The more tied in and committed you are to them, the more tied in and committed they will be to you. So if you have this approach of like business is one thing, personal is another, those people will come and go. The people that stay, and when I see longevity with exceptional people and teams, is that the leader cares about the person as a full human being. They know about their life and they support them and they do extra things for them, and that's meaningful to them. And they care to develop them. They want them to develop and grow. And when you have that mentality, if this person ever does develop and grow to a level to start their own business, you're happy for them.
Right.
Honestly.
It's not a threat at that point.
No. And so what happens is, and many times they just want to stay and partner with you because they're so cared for. Like, think about your life. How many people in your life do you feel like look you in the eye, spend time with you, really care about you, do extra things, spend extra, discretionary time to help and assist you? Not that many. And if you have someone that you come to work to every day and they're smiling at you and they're caring and they're appreciating you, why would you want to leave? It's very rare that someone that gets all that leaves. So there's that care factor. Then there's the professional development factor that has to be there too.
So let's stop before we go there. I want to make one comment I heard. And when I heard it, it struck me and I was like, so true. And it just backs up the description that you gave. It says people never leave bad managers. Right? They don't even leave I'm sorry, let me rephrase it. People don't leave bad companies, they leave bad managers. That if you have a great manager, even if the company's not so great, if that manager is doing exactly what you have said, they will stay longer and hold on in hopes that the company will turn around because of the nurturing that they're getting from their management. But if the leader above you is ignoring you and not caring for you, it doesn't matter how great the company is, you won't stay.
Right.
This really has to do with that direct leadership role. Exactly.
And spending time with that person and letting them know. I remember leaders I've had in the past where when I was younger, I was like buying selling my first car, buying my first, second used car, buying my first new car. My manager actually helped me do it. He's like, I'll help you. Let me show you how to look online and do this. And I'll help you sell your car. I mean, it was just, why do they do that? They just cared. They were just kind and they cared. And so people do there's a lot of kind leaders that do extra things like that to help them.
That's right.
The other thing that's really big today is professional development. Is someone that's helping you grow and develop your skills. And I had a leader one time that he said to me, every quarter we're going to work on helping you develop and grow to be more effective in this business, to really impact the bottom line. And so I actually had someone that every quarter was working with me to get better. Where am I going to get that? I don't think I have that at any other company I've ever had an experience with, except under this leader who worked for as long as I worked under him, I was continually growing in my skill level and expertise. That was awesome. So I've got I've got someone that's helping me grow my skill level and expertise. That's amazing. And then there's a third thing. And this example just blows me away. People want to make a difference. They want to feel heard and they want to contribute, right? And so I went to this organization. It's fairly small, office. So maybe 10, 12 people in the office of this company. And I happened to be there in the morning, and they were doing a morning meeting. And they said, let's do a little brainstorming. What can we do to make this company more effective? What can we do to provide better service to our customers? Let's do a creative brainstorming session. And so they had all the employees had, crayons and all these different materials. And they said, take 10 minutes, whatever, everybody, write something creative and let's all share it, right? You've probably heard this before. It's nothing new, right? It's kind of creative, but it's nice to do. So again, I saw it, and the employees are going around and they're sharing examples of what they came up with, their new idea to make the business enhances better. What was remarkable to me was after that meeting, the leader, said to me, I'm going to have to, wait to talk with you for a few minutes because I was there as a consultant. I said, no problem. He went out immediately and implemented one of the employees' ideas immediately on the spot.
Wow.
And so what was interesting was they didn't just say, that's a good idea, we'll do that. They said, we're doing it now. So I'll give you the specific example. So this was a temporary placement agency. And one of the employees said, I think we should have an associate, which is their temporaries that they send out to their clients of the month. And I think we should highlight them and tell them how much we appreciate them. Because when you have a really good one, you want to keep those people, right? Because they're making you look good in your business. And they're so nice to work with. And, let's give them a $100 gift card or gas card or something like that because, that could be really helpful to them. And I really think this will help with our customer satisfaction, with our associate satisfaction. I think it'll help people want to come work for us as temps. That was the person's idea. Well, the manager said immediately, yes, we're doing it. And by the way, let's all talk right now after that meeting. Let's huddle and let's pick an employee right now. Let's pick an associate. Not just like, we'll do the idea, right? We're going to pick the associate of the month right now. Let's all talk about who we think it should be. We're going to call the associate up right now, right? And, tell them they just got awarded, associate of the month. And we're going to take their picture. We're going to put it on the board. It all happened immediately. That employee was blown away. Can you imagine that?
And so were the others who watched it.
Exactly. So that's the kind of thing where, wow, I make a difference. I can impact this business in the direction. Why would I want to go anywhere else? Where is that done?
No.
Right?
Well, you can give an idea and again, have the immediate action. It speaks to all of it, to the company being exceptional. Yeah. It speaks to the person having an exceptional idea that get acted upon, and for others to realize that, okay, these things are being taken seriously, so then I don't need to hold back my ideas because they're at least going to be considered.
Right.
Yeah, talk about building an exceptional team and company, right?
Yeah, and this business is high performing, highly successful, and it's no surprise to me, right? When you see the leaders behave that way.
So super important. So we need to nurture and care for our employees and subcontractors, and then also work with them on professional development. And I usually say to them, what is the education plan? Where do they want to go? What do they want to learn? What do you need them to learn? It's a combination of the two. It's not like they just get to come in and tell you what they want to do. But there's a combo. A lot of times if they tell you there's something they want to learn, it's because they have that natural affinity and joy. They want to work towards excellence at it. And so to make them exceptional, you can come along and go, well, how will that fit into the company? And maybe we can do that. Just even having the conversation. I mean, how many companies won't even have the conversation with you?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So Eileen, in your chapter, you have lots of good information, lots of good charts, and all kinds of good stuff. Did you enjoy it? You said you've written your own book as well.
Right. It's not published yet. I'm sending it out now.
Not published yet. That's going to be coming out soon.
Yep.
But what do you think makes you love this part of business so much? This working with intentionality and creating joy. Where did that spark come from for you? Have you ever worked without joy?
Well,
you're such a joyful person. I mean, the first time I met you, I'm like, you're just like filled with like I don't know. I feel like I just like ate Skittles. You're like so happy. I mean that in a very nice way. I mean, you exude joy. You exude happiness and gentleness. I mean, you're a very strong woman, but you just, I don't know, you just have a very uplifting way about you. Have you always been that way?
Thank you.
Cultivate a life that allows you to be that way. Because I think sometimes we've created a life that's just so packed and so busy that we can't be that. How do you create space to be joyful and work at the high powered level that you do?
Sure. So it's really interesting. I started with like, what's your purpose or mission in life, right? And at a very young age, it was funny because as a consultant, they train you to teach companies how to set a mission, right? Or, mission, vision, that kind of thing. And so I did it, of course, for myself too, as part of the process. And it was really to spread love. So in my life, my purpose is to spread love, right? And to kind of live and work and help others live and work in joy. But that spread love piece is always at the core. And so everything I do, I want to come from that. And when I do that, I'm just like happy and joyful, right? And it brings that energy. And so I ask myself, and so if I'm always doing work that's in that vein, right, then I'm joyful. And when I get overburdened with too much work, like which happens sometimes, or time pressures and demands, I kind of come back to that place of, even though you're doing these 10 things or projects, are you still doing it in joy? Are you still spreading love while you're doing it? And sometimes I say, maybe not right now because I'm trying to do too much. So then I cut back. So I keep coming from that, but I come back to that core. Like, what's your one core thing? What are you about? What's your purpose? What's your mission that kind of grounds you, that brings you back, that enables you to stay in that joyful place? And having that for me all throughout my life has helped me to kind of anchor and come back to. So,
well, that's exactly what I picked up from sitting beside you at dinner and talking to you at the LuAnn live event. So you're putting it out there, and it's.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me today. This has been great. I love it.
You're welcome. And Eileen, where can people find you? Tell us. You have a new website. Where can they connect with you?
Yeah, it's eileenbhahn.com. And again, it's a new website, so it's fun and exciting. And if you want to receive my free download, feel free to sign up. Feel free to text, as we talked about, joyful. And I'd love to meet all of you, talk to you at some time.
That sounds great. Eileen, thank you so much for being here. And for all the listeners, go check out Chapter 7, starting at page 115 of A Well-Designed Business, the Power Talk Expert Series. So you don't want to miss Eileen's chapter. And Eileen, I hope you have a day filled with love.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Thanks again to Eileen for sharing with us how to build exceptional places to work and how to hire the best. As you're building your business, you're going to have questions. We all do. And I want to tell you, I can help answer your questions. It might be about hiring, scaling in some way, wanting to know if you can afford it or if you can't. Maybe it's about something completely different, like how to afford moving out of your home. All of these questions are answered in my Designer's Inner Circle program. Go to scarletthreadconsulting.com to learn more. Being in my inner circle is a choice that leads to profitability, and you know that doesn't happen by accident.